It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. My lucky day. Don't need a pot of gold.
Good morning, everybody. Can I still talk like that even though it's not Halloween? Welcome to Coffee and Cloud Native. What I need is... No, I'm not actually glitching. Yeah, hi. So sorry we're off to a late start today. Y'all know why. I have zero confidence that it's going to stay good, but at the moment it's good. Oh, anyway, let's get started. So I don't know who I am. Hi, welcome to Coffee and Cloud Native. My name is Adrian Goins. Every night, I and my army of bots scour the internet for news and content related to Kubernetes and Cloud Native. And every day you'll find me here to smash the internet the same way that you smash the like button, except that the internet here doesn't work and the like button does. This is a curated list of content. I go through around 200 submissions every night and I select just a handful of them for the next day's show. And these are the tools that I would use, that I could use, want to use, etc. And I'm excited to share them with you, which is probably the number one reason that I get really bent when the internet doesn't work. I swear to God, somebody out there is rate limiting because I watch it and it like falls and then it gets pegged at 2 megabits per second. So if you're watching live on Twitch, click the follow button, or if you're watching on YouTube, click the whatever button. There's so many places that this is happening. I don't even know why I still read this part of my intro, but you know, there's buttons. Please click them because that shares it with other people. We get more people here and then, yeah. So that's good. There's live chat happening live on Twitch and on YouTube. It's all relayed to Discord, and that's actually the place that the real stuff happens. So come hang out with us, either during the show or after. Oh my gosh, something's talking to me. Oh wow, apparently I'm also watching the stream somewhere. Oh my gosh, it's over there. Hi YouTube. Let's stop that. That was really freaky. Oh my gosh, something else is talking to me. Twitch is talking to me. I have all these windows open to monitor it, and it's like I just keep hearing my voice. Okay, we're good now. We're good. Nothing else is talking to me. I'm not a crazy person. We got some internet going on over here. And yeah, so let's actually just get started because we're super late. I'm going to actually end the show at a couple minutes after the top of the hour. Anyway, it's just going to be a short show. I'm sorry. That's my story. The end. Hey, I put a lot of stuff on the show. Well, okay, so I was writing up a document last night that described what the show was, and I was listing the various types of, no, Doc, it's not like that. It's upstream bandwidth that has the problem. Downstream bandwidth doesn't have the problem. It's upstream bandwidth. Anyway. So I was describing like what I put on the show, and I realized that not only do I put tutorials and tools and things like that, but I like articles that are written by intelligent people that actually talk about like the blog version of what I try to do here on this show, where it's like, hey, here's some stuff that we ran into as a problem. Here's how we address that problem. Here's how we solve that problem. And we just want to share this with you because maybe you're looking at similar problems and, our experience can help you. So this is from Salesforce's engineering department, where they talk about the history of how they found Kubernetes and whatever. But then the tools that they actually implemented for them to run multi-tenant Kubernetes clusters. So they're using Spinnaker, Terraform, and Helm. Okay, great for provisioning. For cluster availability, this is pretty cool. So they built a visibility pipeline leveraging Kafka and SQL for aggregation of cluster resources to check for trends across clusters. It replicates Kubernetes state into a central store, which is exposed as a read-only pseudo API. So they built an HTTP server that mocks the Kubernetes API, but it actually serves data from the SQL database. So you're not really beating on the Kubernetes cluster to try and get metrics. That's really smart. So it like pretends that it's the Kube API, and downstream things think that they're talking to the Kube API. Really nice. And then they use Kube dashboard. Is this? That's actually the Kubernetes dashboard. Really? That's what they use? That's disappointing. Huh. Well, okay, whatever. Custom Grafana. And then they also built a custom solution for sidecar management. so that they can do sidecar injection arbitrarily. We've had a couple of tools on the show that do that, but not theirs. So I'll have that up in just a second. They also built an Kubernetes history visualization tool called Sloop, and I lost an hour to Sloop last night trying to make it the tool of the day because it totally doesn't work. And there's it basically works for Kubernetes 1.16 and older. But starting in 1.16, when things moved to different locations in the API, it was never updated. There's an open issue from April that says, yeah, we're working on that. Well, apparently they're not really working on it because how hard is it? Anyway, so ignore Sloop. Otherwise, the rest of the stuff in here is pretty neat. They're using Istio, hooray, OPA, horizontal pod auto scaling. So this is a cool little article that talks about how they got to Kubernetes and then how they're approaching some of the problems. Then in February, they actually wrote an article on Medium that, oh, hola, Juan Pablo, ciao. Juan Pablo showed up and has to leave. Well, watch the replay later. The replay will actually, it'll skip all of the internet down part at the beginning of the show. So they wrote an article about their Kubernetes sidecar injector thing, which works by annotations and then mutates the manifests to actually get stuff loaded. They open sourced this, and so it's out here. And well, I don't know if I'll have that link in the video description, but if not, I'll at least have a link to the article, and then in the article, they point links to the other stuff. Calico. All right, so like I pinned the eBPF flag on my chest a while ago because I think eBPF is super cool. I like the stuff that Cilium is doing. Now, granted, you can do Cilium stuff with other CNIs. I never really look at Calico. But I do run Canal in places, which is network policy from Calico, and then the networking from Flannel. I don't have anything against Calico. And this showed up 2 days ago, where they said, it was actually a tweet or something like that, saying that they have a new release for the Calico VPP data plane integration. How do I find things to put on the show? I see things and I ask myself, what the heck is that? VPP, never heard of it. VPP, the Vector Packet Processor, never heard of it. Surprise, I've never heard of it because it's actually quite intelligent. Their idea here is that most networking stacks are scalar. So basically FIFO, packet goes in, packet comes out. And this creates problems when you have saturated network links or large packet queues, and creates a problem called thrashing, where the microprocessor is continually loading new instructions. VPP solves this by picking up groups of packets and then processing them. And from here, it broke down into like complex network theory that I didn't have time to get into last night. But basically it processes things in bulk, and watching the GIFs go by on the chat, processes things in bulk, reduces thrashing, creates much faster throughput, and is in general just a better way to do things. And Calico said, yeah, totally, we agree. So let's bake that into Calico. You can use, if you have places where you need faster network processing and where VPP advantages are appropriate, but you don't want to roll VPP out across your entire data plane, across your entire network stack, your entire server stack, VPP-enabled Calico nodes can talk to regular Calico nodes. So you can actually integrate VPP into just the places where you need it and still use Calico everywhere else. And then because, I mean, it is what it is, I imagine that I could run this and then I could still run eBPF processing Cilium stuff on top of it, because why not just stack all of the stuff until we get a big spaghetti ball of Kubernetes? So this is pretty cool. And they have a whole wiki about implementing VPP as the data plane for Calico. What is this? Oh, this is Volcano. Like, what am I looking at? This is Volcano. Volcano is a CNCF project for batch processing in Kubernetes. We had some other candidates on the show within the last couple of weeks about batch stuff, so I thought I would throw this out here as well. This replaces the job resource in Kubernetes with a specialized, what do they call it? Well, we'll get to what they call it in a second. Volcano job, there it is. And it supports a variety of scheduling policies, the idea being that, this text is too small, the idea being that you can do a better job of scheduling and processing jobs in Kubernetes. So far, the internet's looking solid. It's just so weird. I stream through Restream so that I can get out to YouTube and Twitch with only one outbound stream instead of having to stream to both of them, which I don't have the bandwidth for. And Restream's Sao Paulo endpoint is the closest endpoint to me. That's in Brazil. It's not close, but it's closer than the alternatives. And there are two networks over there where they have stuff. In my old network environment, one of those networks was always really reliable and the other one was really slow. My other provider is Intel. I now have this new provider who gets their backbone connectivity from Intel. Yet when I'm connecting through them, the fast provider is now slow. And randomly today, I was like, well, let's see if the slow provider is better. And the slow provider is fast. I don't understand. But I'm going to keep using this one. And maybe we won't have problems from here forward. So Volcano had a recent release. I don't do anything that requires bulk processing of batch jobs in a super efficient fashion. But remember when, who was it, Jeff Geerling was trying to run 50,000 jobs through Kubernetes? I wonder if Volcano would have helped him. Alexi, our friend Alexi, created a tool called nsenter that I had on the show a while back, and he updated it to be even smaller. I've actually used nsenter, and I think it is just a fantastic tool. If you missed the earlier coverage for it, basically it takes advantage of this functionality within Linux to exit from a pod onto the node itself. And it's ridiculous. So if you don't want to like figure out where your stuff is running, you just need to get access to a node, you can run the nsenter node.sh and pass it the name of your node. It will go and deploy a pod on that node. Then it will use nsenter to exit the pod and put you in a shell on the node itself. I use this with my DigitalOcean systems because my DigitalOcean Kubernetes cluster is designed for where I don't care about the nodes. They just spin up new nodes sometimes, and that's fine. But when a node is misbehaving and I want to see why it's misbehaving, for me to go and get access to the node, I have to go find the droplet, tell it to reset the root password, it resets the root password, it reboots the droplet, at which point whatever problem I want to troubleshoot is gone. nsenter has saved my butt where I've just been able to be like, oh, let's just go get a shell on the node. Poof, and there you go. And I can actually look at stuff. Vito says kubectl SSH does the same thing. I bet it doesn't. Get a shell to a running container? No. Vito, post a link for that. Post a link for that, please. So he updated it to be super, super thin, which means it'll spin up faster, and you can possibly even get it into an environment that currently is saturated. This came from Shipwreck yesterday. 10 tips for running Istio in production. And this is actually well-timed because after reading this, I replaced the tool of the day. Kent is asking, is that to the node or to the container? I don't know if he's asking Vito or if he's asking me, but if you're asking me, this is to the node. It's amazing. You just run it and it fires up a pod. SSH execs into the pod, runs the command that drops it out of the pod and onto the node itself. It's beautiful. So 10 tips for running Istio in production. Much like the Salesforce article that I had at the beginning, this is actually quite cool. You find a lot of these articles, I find a lot of these articles that are like 10 tips for running Istio in production. Tip number 1, run Istio. Tip number 2, read the docs. It's like people write articles the same way that people write stuff for WikiHow. If you've ever seen anything, you search for like how to do something and it's like how to do blah, blah, blah in 8 steps. Like how to bake a cake in 8 steps from WikiHow. Step number 1, go to the grocery store. Step number 2, choose a cake that you like. Step number 3, buy the ingredients for the cake. Step number 4, come home. Step number 5, read the instruction. And it's like, the value of something like WikiHow, for a while they were like top in all search results. Unfortunately, they're not anymore, but anyway, I hate that site. This is not that site. This is actually really useful. So if you want to run Istio in production, expect that you're going to have problems with it, and use kubectl sniff and wireshark to help troubleshoot stuff. I saw this, and what did I say? What the heck is that? kubectl sniff. We had a thing on the show a while ago that was a tool for sniffing communication between pods and services and stuff in your cluster. It wasn't this. So we'll come back to that. So expect that you're going to sniff traffic and figure out, expect that you're going to have trouble. I was reading what Vito wrote and I lost my brain. Sniff, yay. Use Envoy first. It's far easier to prototype changes such as request mirroring or WASM by running Envoy in a Docker Compose file locally to understand how to configure Envoy filter chains. That's really good advice. That's the kind of advice that basically that says, like, understand the components. As Shipwreck will tell you, like, service mesh isn't a thing. Service mesh is an idea. Service mesh takes tools, and basically what you have is you have a control plane that manipulates a data plane. The data plane is quite often Envoy. So if you don't understand Envoy, you don't know what your solution is doing. And when it stops doing what you want it to do, you don't know where to go. But if you understand Envoy, well, then you can work your way back to what are the instructions that are being given to do the whatever it is that I'm asking it to do. Read the release notes religiously. Yeah, because they change stuff. And then your stuff stops working. Generate manifests using Istio-ctl over the Istio operator. Also really good advice. They say that they did an upgrade from 1.6 to 1.7, and the operator was unable to complete its reconciliation loop due to a change in the struct. Operators are a shortcut. Move to them when you actually need a thing to deploy lots of other things for you. Don't use operators to deploy just one thing, and don't use them in lieu of understanding what it is that you're trying to deploy. And it continues. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but all of these are really good experience-based instructions for, well, for managing expectations and for running Istio in a production environment. Ken says 2,000 years from now, toolkits will still exist, and they will include a hammer, screwdriver set, tape measure, and wireshark. Yes, that sounds like a Russian toolbox, actually. So let's jump forward to what hijacked the tool of the day. And that's kubectl sniff. This is a kubectl plugin. You can install it with Crew. Maybe you can install it with Arcade, who knows? So this will start a remote capture on any pod in your Kubernetes cluster. It then kicks off a Wireshark GUI, or at least it tries to. And you got a little image going on there. Of course, it is not production ready yet, so don't run it in production, because no comment. So you can install it, you can build it, you can use it, you can pass filters to it for Wireshark, and let's see. Many production-ready containers run as non-privileged user, or even as a scratch container. So ksniff ships with the privileged mode, and it will create a new pod on the remote Kubernetes cluster that will have access to the node Docker daemon. Hopefully you're running Docker. It will then use that pod to execute a container attached to the target container network namespace, perform the actual network capture. All right, so it tries to work around secure container stuff by, well, working around it. Because obviously if you're going to sniff on a network interface, that's just, that's not for everyone. Ken says not production ready. Some people totally using this in production. People just, I think that's like, check the box. It's like you should have a README in your repository, so therefore you should also have a not production ready yet. Because what happens, he doesn't want this to crash, Salesforce's cluster or something like that, and then have them come send a strike team after him. Like, I told you not to run it in production. But yeah, who pays attention to those things? You run it in a test environment. If it doesn't crash it, you go run it in production. Real quick. Okay, actually, you know what? We don't have time. Vito posted 2 links for his kubectl SSH. I will look at those and try to get them on tomorrow's show. Thank you. Oh, that's the guy who made the plugin. Well, it's a short show today. Short show? It's a short show. Because the internet. I'm sorry. What else did I have today? Oh, this. Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow. You know what? Screw it. We've still got 2 minutes left. We'll talk about this today. Actually, I already did the tool a day. I can't. Well, okay, fine. We're going to go. I'm not used to not having the show run in order. That, like, really threw me off. Okay, so, hey, look at that. The internet's turning orange as well. So I guess it's time to go. If you liked what you saw today, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It's not normally this chaotic, but, you know, I'm sorry. How many times can I apologize for the internet in this country not working? Follow me on Twitch, follow me on YouTube, follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, join the community site. In fact, links to everything that I talk about on the show go up in the free community site at community.cn.cn, after the show ends. You can come join us. Community members get access to the links in the video replay a day before the rest of the internet. Membership is free, so why not come and join? If you have something that you would like for me to consider for the show, hit me up and let me know. Mention me in a post, Discord, Twitter. I'm all over the place. I'm easy to find. Again, I apologize for the internet being what it is. Hopefully this new slow endpoint will continue to work fast. It's like opposite day. If you're in a place where craziness is happening today, please stay safe. If you're anywhere else, well, stay safe too, because apparently craziness is everywhere. Keep learning, stay caffeinated. I'll see you in the next show.